Hello, everyone. Let's see, give everybody a couple more minutes to join. I think we're probably good, and I respect everybody's time today, so I'll go ahead and get started. So I'm Todd Smith. I think I even have a nice little PowerPoint slide here. There you go. There's a headshot for you. So I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Center. We're trying to start a new webinar series for our clients, especially our co-managed clients that have their own IT team, to help better teach them how to utilize the different tools that are included with our different managed services offerings. And then in addition, we'll start throwing in some other technology training or how-tos as well throughout the year. So stay tuned for those. But today we're going to go over AutoElevate. So that is a pretty recent partner to Center. It's a product. The product is called AutoElevate. CyberFox is the company behind it. One of the reasons we wanted to go over that with everybody today is that we're making a transition from Threat Locker to AutoElevate, and I'll kind of go over the reasons of why. But we'd like to make sure everybody's trained, educated on it, so that you're able to help support your team and your environment. Let's dive in. Let me switch here. All right. So I have over here a test VM just to kind of give you an example of what everything looks like and the end user experience, and then my XYZ test company from the management portal. So when you get logged in, you'll see a dashboard. Again, this is a test company, but it'll show if there's any systems with UAC off, because if it's off, AutoElevate can't take over and elevate that request. It'll also show if there's any machines running with admin privileges where standard users logged in with admin privileges, if a system has too low of UAC, any machines in audit mode, how many are in live. So it gives you some good information highlighting the last 30 days. On the left-hand side, you'll see the computers. Refresh. Oh, I'm sorry, companies. Obviously, you'll see your company. If I go to computers, you'll have all the machines listed out as well as a bunch of different columns of information. Also, if you notice, I have this application running as an app. It's a web app, but one of my favorite features of Edge, if you're not aware, is if you go to that site, you can make it an app. So I have a bunch of browsers, a bunch of tabs open. I find that if it's an app I'm using frequently or a SaaS application web app, you can make it an application. I already have it, but you can create it as an app so that it actually looks like there's an app installed. The other thing I would recommend doing is you can set up notifications from the site. So anytime somebody submits a request, you can set it up to where you'll see that in your taskbar and the notification will pop up. So in addition to installing the app, highly recommend doing that. Anything at the top here, you can drag one of these headers and be able to filter or sort by that particular thing. So for example, if I have all the machines listed and I want to see if there is any user running as admin, I can click that up here, and if there were any in admin, it'd have them all grouped together. So it groups all of that together, and whatever header you want to view that data, you can drag it up there. So some things that you can do from the console before it's deployed or even after deployment. Let me go back to the computers. Some actions you can perform. You can set the agent to audit mode if you needed to for any reason. You can set it to policy mode. There's not really a need for that, but if you needed to just be able to flag and create policies, you could do that. Typically, what you're going to do is between audit and live. And this is something that we're going to be taking care of for you as part of this deployment. You can also set an agent to technician. So let's say you're remoting in and helping out an end user. You could flip the machine to technician mode. I'll do that on this machine shortly to show you what that looks like, and it'll allow you to use that just-in-time admin account for that session to be able to install any applications without constant pop-ups or anything like that, or troubleshoot something. You can also adjust UAC settings, whether it's on and not dimmed, set on and dimmed, or maximum. We have a part of our script, we're deploying it to on and not dimmed. I find that is a better end user experience. Sometimes older machines, especially whenever it dims, it cause a delay with that prompt to show up, or if somebody's in a meeting or something they're trying to install, it'll gray out or black out everything else on their machine but that prompt. But you have the ability to change that. By default, it's going to deploy as not dimmed. I think on our test environment, we might have it dimmed or max. You can also disable UAC here if you need to for any reason. Some other options, some other things you can do is you can remove admin rights from here. We're going to be pushing this from the parent level of your tenant. However, if you want to, you can tell it and select individual machines where it would remove local admins. Otherwise, when we enable that setting, it's going to continuously do that. You can also tell it to set it to off or remove the override. So once we enable that policy, it's going to override a setting. You can disable that override so that you have the ability to control whether or not admins, user accounts are removed from the local admin. The ticketing system is going to be for the PSA side. That's something that we would deal with. You don't necessarily need to do anything there. Other options, update. That's something that we're going to be doing as well for you. We're going to make sure all these agents are updated. We have a few running beta versions, so you'll see some differences there. But as agents are updated, tested, we'll be pushing those out. You can also restart the agent services if you needed to, restart WMI from here as well. So other things you can do, when I mentioned the audit period, I can pull up the last 30 days of requests. And this is the data that we're going to be using to help build out those roles. I'm sorry, those rules. We'll be reviewing to see if something had a matching rule. If it did not, we will be reviewing these to determine, is this something that needs a matching rule? Is it something that might only be needed to approve one time? And we'll start building these out for you. If we have questions, we'll reach out and determine, hey, is this something you want us to automatically elevate when a user requests it or not? So similar to Threat Locker in that regard. So when requests come in, they're going to show up on this screen. Again, I'll show you what this looks like. You can see whatever time period, how many requests were created. Otherwise, want to focus on that day. And then one of the things we will typically recommend adding as a header is the result, I believe. Let me go back. Need some data to determine. So yeah, status result. So this would allow us to determine if anything is pending. So in user experience, this is what it would look like. So I'm on this machine here, I'm logged in as a local admin. An application that we do not normally create rules for is Paint, just to be able to test with it, and nobody really needs to run Paint as an admin. So to show what this looks like from an end user, the UAC prompt basically gets taken over by AutoElevate. Again, just about anything here we can customize. So if you want us to put your logo there, we could do that. Otherwise, if you'd prefer it to be our logo, we can certainly leave that there as well. We're able to also customize this text. So pretty much anything between the logo to do you wish to continue is customizable. It'll put your company's name here as well. So it's just saying, hey, we noticed you're trying to run this. Please explain what you're trying to do. Do you wish to continue? So I normally put in here test, do not approve. Otherwise, my team, the center team will approve this pretty quickly. So I'm going to say test, do not approve, or, updating paint. So as an example, if you notice here, there's also the technician mode. And of course, Murphy's Law. This will allow you to submit a request for technician mode or allow you to log in as a technician. There you go. There's the QR code. So let's say I don't want to have to approve it. I'm doing troubleshooting. I'm sitting in front of the user. I can also scan the QR code there as well. Let me go back to Paint to show the rest of that. So do you wish to continue? Test, do not approve. Click yes. So if you notice, there's a clock here. So why there's a clock, and again, this box can also be customized, is the agent is checking in every single second. So as their request comes in and we approve it, it's going to immediately, that's funny. It'll immediately push to that machine and elevate the access. After the time is up, there'll be a prompt that says, hey, this request take longer than expected. A ticket is created, I believe, is what it'll show. We can customize any of that. So if you want to have it to where if this is urgent and it contact your number, we can certainly do that. So if there's any reason somebody needs something done immediately, they know what to do. If it exceeds this clock, the agent checks in every 10 minutes. So if the request gets approved outside of this ticking first 10-minute clock, then the approval will be pushed within 10 minutes of when it gets approved. So right now, though, the clock's up. I can go in here and request it. So if you notice, I have notifications. I'm on the screen. Look, the local user is what that test machine or test user is called. It's trying to run paint. Would you like to view a request? Yes. And gives you some information about it so you know whether or not you should approve it. So for example, if the publisher certificate is valid, one thing that's really interesting, Microsoft, for whatever reason, doesn't sign paint. Did not expect that. They sign everything else. Thought that was kind of odd. But it'll show whether or not it's verified, the certificate's verified. It'll show, let's say it's some random installer, if there's hits on virus total. And you can click on the link and it'll pull that up. That might indicate it may be malware. So if you see this red, you see this red, you see a lot of red, you may not want to approve it. You may want to take a little bit further look. All of this information is also summarized pretty well in that mobile app. It'll show if system resource enabled or not, if AV is enabled, if antivirus is up to date, Windows updates are enabled. So it gives you some information about the machine and the application. So I'm going to go ahead and approve this. And I get to determine which type, whether it says admin or user. There's an article that can help answer if you're not sure what to do. 99% of the time, you're going to want to do it as an admin. There's a few cases where you might want to elevate that particular user. So for instance, if you're trying to run a batch file that maps a network drive, for whatever reason, if you needed to run that ad hoc, there's not a GPO or something script running, you would want to run that as a user. And so that way, when it's running that elevation, it's applying it to that user session versus that just-in-time admin account. Some other examples we've seen on our machines, especially, is PowerShell modules and PowerShell. So a lot of times we use the Microsoft 365 PowerShell modules. If we do approve it as admin for that session, because it's a just-in-time account, you're going to have to reinstall all those PowerShell modules. However, if we approve it as a user, we won't have to do that. It'll utilize that user's session and elevate that particular session, depending on how often how it's set for the rule here. Other things to note, when you click user, what that will do is it will prompt the user to log in, basically. So it'll be very similar to that UAC box that you normally will see where it prompts to enter the admin credentials. It'll prompt them for their credentials, and it utilizes Windows Credential Manager to cache that. So if they, depending on the rule, let's say I say for this computer, and I have this set to user, every time they go launch that, it'll automatically elevate that and enter the credentials from Windows Credential Manager. So it's not stored in UAC. It's not stored anywhere outside the machine. It's encrypted inside of Windows Credential Manager, which several applications utilize that. Again, most of the time though, you're going to approve as admin, and you can determine if it's one time, computer, location, or company. Let's say you have a tier 1 team on your staff and you don't want them to be able to approve per company. That's something that we can restrict for you as well. But by default, everyone that we create an account for will have these options. So we also restrict this depending on the different roles at center as well. So like our tier 1 team, for instance, can only do one time or computer. Our tier 2 can do per company. And then our senior team, our platform team is what we call it. We can do all companies. So that way we can kind of have more restrictions on what level we're approving a particular rule for. So because I like to use Paint for an example as a demo, I'm going to request for this one time. And so the clock's still ticking over here, and before I could even get back, it's already there showing that it was approved. This isn't tied to our, this XYZ test company isn't tied to our ticketing system. So that's the reason it didn't have a ticket. Otherwise, it would show our ticketing system, our ticket number. We would remove that if needed upon request. And then I can click OK, and it will launch it as admin. So it goes pretty quick to where you can't tell it's logging in with that admin, just-in-time admin account. So here's Paint running as admin. So let me see, I can try and show what a deny looks like as well real quick. Once again, test, do not approve. So the center team, much like how it operated with ThreatLocker, our center team will take these initial requests. If you prefer for us not to do that, we can certainly route all of them to your team, your IT staff, and you can handle all of them. However, to help out as part of your co-managed services, career managed services, we will be taking those frontline requests. If there's any questions, if there's something suspicious, we will escalate that to your team for approval. So on this request, I'm gonna go back here. Let's deny it. I'm gonna deny it this one time. Come back here. We regret to inform you the request has been denied. Ticket's been open. If this is urgent, please call. So again, this whole box can be customized as well. I'm gonna click OK there. And that Control-Alt-A, let me see if that'll actually work on this VM. If not, I can show you what, there we go. Make sure that's, yep, that's on the VM. So here's technician mode. I'm sitting in front of the computer trying to help, one of our executives out. They need access. Instead of trying to create rules or anything, or I need to troubleshoot, I'm just going to open my AutoElevate app. In the top left corner of the app is the QR code scanner, and I'm going to scan it. And right now, technician mode's enabled. So I can turn it off at any time from here or also from the portal. And I can perform admin activity. So let's say I needed to go to Paint and I want to run that as admin again. It's going to give me the option to test it, troubleshoot it, elevate it myself right here as user or as admin or as user. So pretty helpful when trying to troubleshoot or just in a pinch needing to help somebody out right in front of their machine. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. From the portal, you can also do this. You can also elevate the session using technician mode as just time admin. Important thing to note, if I set this to set agent to technician, it's going to operate based on that check-in frequency. So by default, the agent checks in every 10 minutes or upon UAC events. So if I set it to technician mode, then when the agent checks in within 10 minutes, it will prompt it to technician mode. Or if I initiate a UAC event, so just try to run something as admin, it'll force it to check in to AutoElevate and then launch technician mode. Let's see. Is there any questions? I don't know if I've seen any pop up here. So I went through it pretty quick. Let me poke in here. The events go back to the last 90 days. All that's in here. If you've created a rule, you want to tweak it later, you can go back and adjust it. But again, very helpful. Any header, you can group by that. So you can determine, it just makes it a lot easier. So if I want to see all the different rules and the applications of those rules, I can view how many when I'm viewing events or whether or not I'm on the actual rules section. It'll also show any events that, any rules that we've created globally. So there's a lot that are common applications like QuickBooks, Sit1, printer drivers, things that we've validated are already applied. So that way we can build that global rule list and make it a lot easier, better end user experience. However, again, let's say you want to restrict Firefox or any application, I guess it'll get as granular as the computer. So if you want to prevent one particular computer from having that, we can set the deny rule for that computer, and that would apply over the all companies. So it kind of goes that way. So it'll go from computer, location, company, and then all companies. So just because we have a rule set here, it does not enforce it at the lower level. They have pretty helpful knowledge base. So if you have any questions, obviously feel free to reach out to us. However, their knowledge base is pretty solid. If you need support on it, you would come to us. We will be able to help with that. But their knowledge base is very helpful, and it kind of gives you an idea if there's some kind of customization you'd like. You can see what it would look like here, and that is something at this time we would have to enable for you. So those custom dialog boxes at this time, we would build those out for you. Let me refresh that page. It's my local session. No questions. That usually means I did a phenomenal job. Let me post the end user guide and also go over this form. So the form that we're needing some help with to make sure this transitions migration goes well, just enter your company name, your email, any usernames you'd like to exclude from automated local admin removal. So if you have a developer that you have a feeling this may impact, or you have more common, a standard local admin account that you have on every machine. So for instance, we often use Center as a local admin account. You can have it exclude that from automatically removing it. So that way you kind of have that backdoor. So if for some reason there's an issue with AutoElevate agent, you could still utilize that account. However, if you are using a standard local admin account, we highly recommend deploying laps to where that will cycle the password on a regular basis and store that password in Azure AD or Intune to where you would view it from there, and every password be independent. So much more secure that way. Again, if there's any software you do not want pre-approved, examples are Firefox and iTunes, not Intunes, I said Intune. iTunes, always, that's fun. Why install that on a company machine? And then if for any reason there is a device you want excluded from AutoElevate, list out the host name. We will make sure that gets excluded from that migration, from that deployment. Again, we've had it for months, and I think at this point we're 8,000 plus devices deployed, and I don't believe there's been any issues to justify removing it, to be honest with you. Any Windows functions you'd like to pre-approve. So whenever you enable UAC, there are some basic things, I say basic, some Windows functions that do require admin. So for example, task manager, control panel, add and remove programs, computer management, event viewer, things like that. If there's something that you want your users the ability to grant your users the ability to do, like task manager, let us know here, or if other, and let's say you need multiple, just put a comma and list them out. That way we can have that pre-approved for you. Add remove programs is not something we typically recommend. That's something we recommend one time. So if they're, and that they can request it and you're aware of it versus them just willy-nilly uninstalling. But again, depends on the user. You may want to allow certain machines or certain users the ability to add remove and automatically elevate that. Additional IT users, if you could list out the first name, last name, and email, and just space it out through commas, that'd be helpful, I believe. Yep, you can also hit enter and have multiple lines there. That way we can make sure all those accounts are created. So again, anybody in ThreatLocker today, we will create an account for you. If you should see it anywhere between today through Friday. So make sure you approve that email, or I'm sorry, click the link in the email to activate your account. Let me show this real quick. XYZ Test Company, test@test.com. If you say yes here, there's some additional questions. So would you like us to customize those boxes? Yes, no, keep centers, logos, and prompts, or no, use defaults. So we can also just default it, not put your logo or customize the prompts. This would also remove our logos. That's also an option. If I hit yes here, this will bring you to the user guide. So you have some examples. I'm going to paste this link in the chat. There you go. And so this is what the user guide looks like. It'll show what our standard deployment looks like using centers prompts, give some basic information about it. So when a request happens, initially we had it 15 minutes, we lowered it to 10. Again, that clock is also something that can be customized. So if you want it shorter, longer, that's something that we can adjust per company. And just goes through to different prompts on what to expect. Any of that can be customized. If you do want your logo in there, ideally, I was hoping I could put an upload link in here, but if you happen to have a website or something or somewhere where that logo is stored, please send us a link to that. If you're not able to do so and you have it and download it as a PNG or JPEG and need to email that to us, feel free to do that as well. But we'll update those dialog boxes. Also, whether or not you'd want us to put your IT help desk number in there. In case of an emergency, please call your number. So you can either no or other and just type in the number. We'll fill that in. And if you have any other questions or anything, feel free to enter that here. Do you have a couple minutes? Again, feel free to ask questions. Otherwise, I'm going to assume I'm doing just a phenomenal job. But I wanted to put a poll out there. I can do that through here. Oh man, let me see. There we go. Let's put a poll. I want to see what you guys would like to see next. So some various tools, or again, I'll put an other section because I'm curious. I want to make sure that the content that we're providing for you guys in these is relevant. So let me put this out there. Oh man, I have to add the plugin. Bear with me. So some of the options that'll be on here, DNS filter is another tool as part of our managed services offering. ConnectWise Automate, our RMM, has been around for a while, but maybe you want to learn what else you can do with it. Maybe you're not aware of some of the advanced options. LionGuard, Sentinel-1. We often get questions about Microsoft Intune. I know that might be one you're interested in, or other. And I'm going to push this to here. So if you get a chance, please feel free to, or please use the poll and submit. So that'll make sure that the content that we're providing is relevant to you guys. And then the other reminder, make sure to have that form. So the link is also in the chat. Make sure to submit that so we can make sure this deployment is as successful as possible by next week is preferred. The sooner the better. But otherwise, we're good. Anybody have Any questions before we part today? We actually have one. Oh my, we have some questions. Mac OS, great question. Yes, but it is still in beta. We're hoping within the next quarter. Like I was literally told by CyberFox that within the next month to couple months, the production it'll be ready for production. So as soon as that is available, we will make sure that that's deployed. Fill out form per company. If you have multiple organizations, only if there's anything different. So I know some of our clients might have one IT team that for multiple organizations. Only if you think there's something different about them, or just feel free to make note or shoot an email. But if there's something standard across them all, don't worry about it. We'll know that and apply it. If you wanted to manually add an application for auto approval, so Notepad++, the easiest thing to do is to find a machine with it while it's deploying, while we are pushing out in audit mode, so that elevation event can happen. Let me pull that back up. And if you do that, it makes it really easy to where all you have to do is find that particular application. So we actually have one for Notepad. Check the box, and you can convert to rule. That's going to be the easiest way. Otherwise, I believe you can create a rule from scratch. You just would have to know. Actually, no. It looks like that is the only way. I thought you could create one from scratch. Or if you know there's some, I guess I should have added one for pre-approvals. We likely already have a rule for that across one of our other clients, and we can bump it up or apply it to your organization. But it's pretty quick and easy to create those rules. One thing to note, now that I'm over time, I thought I was going to be perfect on time. Let's go to Notepad. Well, let me just open these. So I'm going to convert to rule. By default, and also when you approve it and you say apply to company, it's going to use the file hash. And it's also not going to give it a nice friendly name. That's the I guess most secure is using the file hash. However, what we typically prefer to do is customize it so that if the version changes and you want to allow future versions, this is of course, okay, this isn't a bad example. Other than that, or you want to say, hey, for this one particular Fortinet, I want to allow anything Fortinet. If you can go and say anything signed with this certificate, this publisher, or that certificate hash is pre-approved. So you don't have to do the file. You could say anything signed by Fortinet with that thumbprint is pre-approved. You can do that as well. We recommend, you can set what level, giving it a name. So I guess this is something I should have covered. So my apologies for going over anyone's time. So let's say this is Fortinet. I should have clicked on the notepad for this. We typically will do the vendor or preferably the name of the product. Of course, the installer doesn't show it here, so I'm going to say Fortinet, and this one's going to be certificate hash company. You can give it notes if you needed to. Let me go back to one to show, kind of give you guys an idea of some of the ones we do. Here's the notepad. Convert to rule. Here's Notepad++. This is their certificate. So one of the things that I would probably do, if I do the elements of the certificate, that allow more likely when they renew that certificate, they're going to use those same exact elements. Otherwise, if I do hash, whenever that certificate expires and they create a new one, you'll have to update your rule or create a new rule. But if you do the elements, more likely than not, they're going to use those exact same elements on the next certificate when they renew it. And this is where you could say the file path, the product name. You can get as granular. So Notepad normally doesn't change all of this. Usually we'll at least check those three. So the elements, and so let's say whole company, XYZ text company, Notepad++, name, path, file name, cert, and then company. And you can again put other notes in there whenever you name it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one. It just makes it a lot easier to go through the rules. So if I go look at the friendly name and I want to drag it up here, I can see all the different friendly names of that we created. I could also pull up the name and pull up that application. Otherwise, when you approve it based off the request, it's not going to give it a friendly name. So one of the things we're also doing is going through all of these. And if we don't have an existing rule, we're going to update these with that friendly name and either determine if it's something that needs to be upped to all companies or not. So we've been going through that and cleaning that up quite a bit. So again, apologies for going over, but that is it's pretty simple for creating a rule. And again, if you need a walkthrough or have any questions in the future, please feel free to reach out and let us know. Otherwise, thank you all very much for your time today, and look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Thank you very much.